was that one moment of, do I stay here and just keep doing what I'm doing because I don't believe in myself? Or do I just do it anyway because I still don't believe in myself, but this person does? And I jumped.
Amy, welcome to the show. If I can ask you to start by introducing yourself, please, and talking about your current role.
Hi, and thank you very much for having me, first of all. My name is Amy Poole, and I am the Managing Director of Flume Marketing, which is a global agency that is situated and based out of Dubai.
Excellent, cool. So, what does Flume Marketing do? Marketing agency, yes, but what are your typical customers? What are the services you offer?
We are a 360 agency, so we actually do all aspects from strategy all the way through to lead generation and ROI. Our main premises is actually to focus on ROI and work backwards, but we will do everything from working with the marketing directors, the sales directors, and bringing them together to create a marketing campaign and sales generation campaign that is effective for everybody involved. We have 3 tiers within our business, which is the lead generation, which is separating into a company, our events into a separate company, and then the marketing strategy into a separate company. So by the end of this year, we'll actually have 3 entities.
Wow, okay. I've been in sales forever, and I obviously have a very close relationship with marketing, so I'm really intrigued to understand how you see that relationship. What do you think the relationship between sales and marketing should be like?
To be very honest with you, I can feel like a marriage counsellor some days, because I think with sales and marketing, you both have targets on your head, and I think that the pressure can actually dissolve this relationship or it can make the relationship. So what we have a lot of the time is that we come in and the first thing that we ask any client that we work with is, what are your targets? What would you like to achieve? And then we work backwards from that, because there's no point putting in a fantastic campaign that's not hitting these targets and keeping sales happy, because at the end of the day, that's what keeps the lights on.
Okay, communicator, mediator, boxing ring judge.
And sometimes they're amazing relationships. I'm not saying that's everybody, but I think sales have had the targets on their head for 80% of the cycle of companies. It's only been in the last maybe 10, 15 years that marketing now have targets on their head. So even the login of them on the system can be completely different. And if they're not working together, you could lose a sale against either budget.
Okay. So how do your clients measure your success?
We are outcome based 90% of the time, depending on the campaign. I mean, if they came to us and they say, I only want awareness, we will actually say, well, we're going to create markers, because actually we need to be able to benchmark ourselves and make sure it's a success. We actually pride ourselves on being an ROI agency to encourage the budgets to continue come to us for work. So a lot of the times it's sales generated. So we will go all the way down to leads to make sure that we are actually delivering what you're trying to achieve. Because at the end of the day, you're not just looking for clicks or walking past an airport advert if I want you to come back and do another campaign with us. So we try and make sure that if we're doing an integrated campaign, it's awareness that's effective to absolutely everybody, but then how is that mapped to the lead generation? So we actually tell the story as much as we can and build those building blocks as we go. But it would be a lead of some format at the end of it.
Okay, that's quite refreshing to hear, because I've worked with many agencies in my past, and it was a long time before marketing was measured in the same fashion as sales is, in terms of MQLs, SQLs, and you talked about talking the same language, and it's quite refreshing to hear companies that I've been working for the last few years that actually talk the same language. We're interested in MQL numbers, we're interested in SQLs, we're interested in conversions and stuff like that, so that's really good. So what does your organisation look like in terms of size? How many people? Where are you?
So we're very flexible, to be honest with you. So we have a core engine of 5 to 10 people up to any time, and then depending where the work, because we're a global agency, so we will have consultants who are based around the world who will pop in and pop out to be flexible on campaigns, because that's another reason why our clients love us, because we're very flexible. We don't lock people into contracts that much. We make sure that they're achievable and maintainable, rather than saying you need to sign up to us for a year. And then we have people on our staff and our consultants who want that same flexibility. And my business partner, who when she first set up the actual business, the premises behind it was to help mothers mainly, but also fathers who wanted to return back to the working world, but needed that flexibility for the children, but didn't want to come in at a lower level or a different kind of job. They can still come in as marketing directors with us as a consultant on a retainer, and then, you know, still leave at 2 o'clock and go and pick up the kids. So we get the, you know, the consistency of the person, we get their commitment, and we get that high level, but it also means that we can flex up and flex down as work does, as global pandemics happen, as XYZ. So we're able to maintain our business and our staff with that understanding, which is actually very refreshing and less stressful to run a business, to be honest with you.
So I was not aware of that attraction to mums and dads that want to work flexibly. Is that the right word? You know, in a flex manner. And I think that's a great idea. And I think obviously the pandemic changed the way we worked anyway. Some companies have gone back full time, but most have kept a hybrid model. And I love the idea, and I think that's quite refreshing too. So I want to talk about you a little bit before we go back into the marketing side and stuff. So how on earth did you end up in Dubai?
That's a good question. Well, I'm very blessed actually that my family was here in the late 70s.
Okay.
I actually ended up living in England due to parents separating, but my father stayed here and was in construction, so he was here for 40 years. So back and forth, I've always known it. I'm a son baby, but 10 years ago, my sister moved over here with my young nephews, and I wanted to watch them grow up and be around them. And I was currently working in a very dismal borough of Swindon on a rainy November, looking out of a train station when my sister texted me and said, would you want to come and, you know, find work over here and live with us and see what happens? And that was all she wrote. I moved over and, you know, started working here, and then I thought I'd be here a year and it's been 10. But I have known it all my life, which has actually supported everything that I've done here because I know the ways of the region, but also, it's the sunshine makes a big difference to my working day, I can assure you, which I'm sure you're aware.
I love going to Dubai. I really do. I go there normally once or twice a year on business, and even now on holiday. So interesting, very difficult choice. Rainy Swindon, sunny Dubai.
It was.
Really,
I was already out. Yeah. I was,
how many nanoseconds did it take to make that decision?
I booked my plane ticket as I was walking home. Yeah, it was.
I'm not surprised. So how different is it working in Dubai in the Middle East compared to the UK? Because there's quite a few people who've done it.
Incredibly different. It's a big eye opener actually, and some people will hate it within months and they have to return home. Because it is, and I always say this to people, that Dubai is the most technologically advanced region. But the working world is 10 years, 15 years behind England and the Western region still. Like there's still, I was coming from a very busy, effective, process-driven government organisation. So I thought, if I send an email, things happen. You send an email here, you've got to just think that nobody's read that email, and you have to follow up, and you gain a lot of patience here. You have to change things, but also for me, it was an opportunity to bring the ways of where I was working to implement within here. So you have to kind of have a bit of breathing space and patience, but there are amazing things going on in Dubai that advance the working world, but also a lot of the Western culture and Eastern cultures and everyone coming in are helping to upskill the communities around here to bring it over. It isn't a fast-paced environment in a work world. You have to be very gritty and maintain a peaceful core when you're getting on with things, and actually make sure that, if you thought it was going to be a 2-week project in UK, it's going to be a 6-week project here. So it's managing the expectations and doing all of those things. But again, all of these issues that I've encountered being in this region, we've now created services and grown a business from it. So it's actually a beneficiary kind of way for us.
One thing I want to pick up, in terms of the research I've done on you achieved a personal training certificate last year. What's that about?
One of my passions is training, actually. I love the discipline. I like exercising. Last year, I actually took part in a boxing match, a white collar fight. So I like to push myself and challenge myself. And I thought, this is what I know of. I actually don't really have very many qualifications, and I thought I would love to have one myself, and I'm very passionate about it. And it was the best. Like I was shocked to get it, but also it was showing all of that work that I already know in a certificate. I'm very much a work-based trained person.
Okay. Did you win your fight?
I say I do, but no, it was a split decision, and it went to the other person.
If it's a split decision, then it could have gone either way. So
I didn't lose. That's my thing. Okay. It was a big. I turned 40, and I wanted to have a nice milestone. So why not get in the ring and push myself?
Well, hats off to you. It's quite unique. That's not something I would do, but congratulations on that. Well done. So how did you? So you mentioned you didn't have any qualifications. You took an academic. So did you not do university, not do a degree?
I didn't, no.
Okay, nor did I. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah.
I started one, and in all honesty, I was more money driven than I was education driven. So I started working in different things around my university area, and then I just ended up getting a different job because that was more of a learning experience to me. So I think people are different in those ways.
Yeah, no, I agree. So how did you end up as MD of a marketing firm when look at your experience, there's no marketing in there? So how did that happen?
Strangely, my first ever apprentice out of secondary school was for marketing. And then I left that to go to college to try education, whereas I should have just stayed there. But I think per se, my role has never been marketing, but through I knew Sarah, the owner of the business, prior to joining Flume. I was currently in a role that was actually very, very hard. It wasn't working out very well, and there was lots of negatives around it, which unfortunately in this region there can be, and you get very locked in. And I was offered a chance. So my background is very much project management, find issues. My core transferable skills are fixing things and making them better. I can do anything when I turn my hand to it. So Sarah offered me the opportunity, and then through the last 5.5 years, we've worked together and grown the company, and I've ended up running it with her. So I'm very blessed. And for me, this is anything, and I always try and do this myself now, is somebody saw in me my abilities and not just my CV, which I actually advocate that a lot, because most of our team now don't have per se 100% a marketing or this background, but they've got the attitude and the proactiveness and the prowess to actually keep going. So that was how I ended up here.
Okay. So what does being a managing director actually entail? What does your day job look like?
Oh, well, it's everything and anything. So any job that I've been into, I've always ended up in a managerial position. But I like to work from the floor upwards. So again, I like to know everything that's going on because I've done it myself. So my daily activities now is checking in with the team. So every morning we run through the clients, goods, the bads, what's going on. See if anybody can, if I need to help, I don't always try and interject. I've had to learn to not micromanage that. I actually wait to be asked, which was a new development becoming a managing director. But I think it's more a team activity. And then I liaise with a lot of the clients, I'm focusing on 2024, 2023 and that's the sales generation in me. And at the moment we are splitting into 3 separate companies. So there's a lot of business around this of where we're branding it, and how we're going to be marketing ourselves. So I'd say I have my fingers in many different pies every day. But my main one is to make sure that the team is supported and that we are, keeping in contact with our current clients and getting some awareness out for the new clients that we're hoping to get in the future.
Sure. So what sort of leader would you describe yourself, and what would people who work for you, how would they describe you as a leader?
That's a very interesting question, because I often think I'm a strict and harsh leader. However, when others ask for feedback on me, when I say harsh, it's more that I'm very to the point.
More direct, perhaps?
I have to be a bit more emotional, which I learned from others, to be honest with you, because I'm so used to be just like, do this, do that, get on with it. But there's other people, and other people function in different ways. So I've learned that through my years. But when others have had feedback on me, I get nothing but a glowing report that I'm supportive. I drive them, I motivate them, but I also can be stern, but sometimes people need that. So I think I'm approachable, but then, it depends what day of the week is. Sometimes I think I am, and sometimes I think I'm not. But I still have team members who I'm in contact with now, 10, 15 years later, and even come and visit me in Dubai, I don't think I'm all wrong. But I think sometimes I've gone into businesses as a bit of a shaker-upper. So some people don't like that. I'm normally the person who comes in to fix things, especially back in England. And when you upset the apple cart, when people are comfy, it's all going to come down on you. So I've had to have quite thick skin through the years also. But I'm softening in my old age, I think. So I think now I'm just at the right ingredients for the role that I'm in. So I've had all the experience through the years.
You're a good mixture of hardness and softness, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm getting there. I probably need a little bit more tenderizing, but and COVID, to be honest with you, changed everybody. Everybody just got a lot more relaxed after that and realised, it's and we try and promote human to human, so we should actually be doing that ourselves also. It's not just a job. It's actually, we need to make sure that we're making everybody comfortable and people want to be there. If you don't want to be at your job, I'm not going to get the best from you. So I don't want to be the catalyst for that.
Interesting. So I've been dropped in to European teams before to either be the first person or to fix broken teams and even take out toxic people, which has happened before, which is not a good job. It's not a very nice task at all. What sort of challenges have you had in the past? Have you had to make difficult, tough decisions which you didn't enjoy doing, or is it just literally it's for the benefit of the company, benefit of the team?
I'd say it's both of those things, to be honest with you, and you have to really plan that out. And I'm very blessed to have a business partner who I can air these things with, and we make decisions together. So it's not just all hanging on my head. So that does alleviate the stress, and you can kind of make sure that if a strong decision has to be made, like letting somebody go, unfortunately, we've had to reduce our business down to this in the last few years, and then we've been blessed to grow it again, and then we have to reduce it again. And sometimes I have to highlight, problems. So I've never enjoyed doing that, to be honest with you. But I'm also a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. So when I do speak to people, it might not actually, and it's been the same with myself. Sometimes I've needed to be let go because I was never going to leave myself, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I kind of keep that in my heart. But we're never cutthroat. There's always a reason behind everything. Processes aren't followed, or this is the rules of the job. And in England, especially, in Dubai, it's a bit different because the HR equality and diversity level here is nowhere near what it is like in England. I had people in England that I was, helping on PIPs and performance and KPIs and developing and sickness, but you keep them there and you support them. So we carry a lot of that ethic into our business here, even though it doesn't exist 100%. In the region, we keep that here because you never know what someone's going through. So we do it with a heavy heart sometimes, but it's always thought out and process driven. But there's never a horrible task done with joy, I would say.
I agree, and I think that having worked for mostly American companies, their hire and fire at will process is something that I detest and I don't agree with. At least you have some level of employee protection over here, which is good. But sometimes you have to do the right thing.
It becomes a number game, and that's a shame sometimes. So when you are that number, and I think it's very much in sales. When the targets are coming from a different region, all they see is numbers, figures, calculations. When you're actually the person on the ground, it's a different story. So it's very different when you run your own business, because obviously we can try and take that into calculation, and we're a very close-knit team. So if there's problems going on, we've always been transparent, targets, etc. It's never a shock thing if there is a bad decision that has to be made. It's just more, it's the unfortunately, this is what's happening, or, we've got to now do this, and everyone's aware of it. So it's not a shock culture.
Yeah. So we talked about your skills. What are you not so good at?
Until the last year, I'll just put that in there. I've got better in the last year. I was not the best at delegating, to be honest with you. I think because I've been in a position of everything being my responsibility through the years. So I worked for government programs in the UK where I designed all the processes. So the process had to be followed, and really hand over the manual and then they can get on with it. What I've had here in various jobs actually is that if I pass it over and if it goes wrong, I'm very passionate, and I get very hurt if it doesn't happen, something goes wrong. Whereas actually they're learning curves for everybody. And I think for me now it's delegating, and if something does go wrong, being okay with that, managing clients' expectations, managing my expectations on myself and my staff, and also offering that training, because really the whole point of any position or the team that you bring in is to offer them the opportunity to be able to move up the ladder. The same as it's ever happened to me. I wouldn't be sat here if somebody hadn't offered me those chances and let go of some of that work. So I have to kind of pay that forward now. So that's definitely was a very bad thing of myself, because I had no off switch, whereas now I have a semi off switch. And I trust my team implicitly anyway. But I think that's a negative. And I would say sometimes I think I can be a bit too passionate, so I have to tone that down. But yeah, it's I'm very passionate about what I do.
So you talked a little bit about your career there in terms of things that happened. Was there any pivotal moment in your career or life that changed your life forever? And obviously, we're talking about the rainy day in Swindon that went to Dubai. That's one moment, right? But are there any other career moments where that changed your path for the good, or even the worse?
Actually, in the UK, when I was working for a work management program, so it was helping people off benefits and into work, so it was helping upskilling people. I was actually an advisor, and my manager at the time said, I want you to set up a brand new program in a new region in Manchester. Do you want to do it? And I was, no way. There's no way I can do this. And she just said, just do it. You'll be okay. I was currently going through something personal at the time. So for me, it was actually, right, I'm going to move. I'm going to do it, and just bit the bullet. And it was the making of me, because I had to do everything from finding the office. I was my receptionist. I was designing the program. And by the time I left, we had 7 offices, 7 programs, and over 150 staff. So to see that team grow and me just see my baby grow, it was like pinnacle to who I am now, because it had everything in there. But it was that one moment of, do I stay here and just keep doing what I'm doing because I don't believe in myself, or do I just do it anyway because I still don't believe in myself, but this person does? And I jumped. So, and even jumping on the plane here, I came here in November. I thought I'd be home in January, to be honest with you. I thought I was going to have a long Christmas and I'd be gone.
Yeah, I love those stories. It happens a lot to people. I'm a massive believer in fate. So, yes. You make things happen for a reason. Sometimes you do things which don't work out, which makes you better, stronger, you learn from your mistakes. I completely agree with that. And talking about mistakes, have you made any career mistakes, do you think? Anything you should have done?
Do you know what?
You don't have to name names, Amy, okay?
Should have done or shouldn't have done. Do you know what? No, I don't actually regret any of my past, because otherwise I wouldn't be sat here, like we just said. I've had one situation where 2 business partners were splitting, and both of them wanted me, it was like divorcing parents, both of them wanted me to go with them. And I went with one, and it was horrendous. It was horrendous. It was to me, it was the worst decision. But actually, 8 years later, I'm sat here, and everything that happened negatively now is in my job now. Me knowing all of that knowledge has helped me now. So I'd actually say, no, I don't regret anything in my past. I hope if I'd hurt anybody or upset anybody along the way, I'd want to change that. But actually, it's guided me and molded me and beaten me into the person I am, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think I've hired and fired a lot of people in my career, and I've only been physically threatened once, which I think
that's a win.
Which is not bad by an employee. So, but all the decisions were made for the right reasons, and even some of the people that work for me, who I mentored and coached, have now gone on to be leaders and stuff. So I'm really.
It's when you see that change as well, and I've seen that also. Like they go on to better things, and unfortunately, you're just that negative press at the time.
Yeah. So I want to pivot quite drastically away from this sort of stuff in terms of marketing again. So I've recently been playing with the likes of ChatGPT in terms of creating content and copyright stuff. What's your thoughts on that? Because in reality, is that taking some of the expertise away, or is there a place for it, do you think, in marketing content?
I'd say yes to both of those. I would say anything that the generative AI is beneficial. But for me, if it makes your job easier, great. Pop it in there. If you don't have budget for somebody to support, absolutely, it's going to help with those people. It's time changing. My negative about it is that I worry that people won't actually learn the skills when they have a plug and play. So for me, it's more about the longevity of how that could actually be maintained as a job role, for example. So I wouldn't say it's negative. I just think it should be used in measured environments or only on certain things. So not writing your dissertation per se, because if you're going to be passing the doctor's medical exam and then going to operate on someone, it's going to have dire effects. But writing some captions, which need to be caught as well. I mean, anything needs to have a quality assurance. So if you're doing it and then whacking it up, and then you have customers or clients identifying grammatical errors, then that's a different thing. Because also that's a big, especially in this region. If I tried to transfer something into Arabic and ChatGPT does it in something slightly different dialect, like you could have dire consequences. I think it's a controlled experiment. I think it will replace people, unfortunately. I think people will go, I can save 10 grand a quarter, a month on a social media manager, when this person can now just be upskilled a little bit and they've got to plug it into ChatGPT. But smaller organizations now have the opportunity to grow their own business from using this software. So, it's back and forth. It's just the lack of learning, I think, would be the concern.
No, I completely agree. And there's been quite a lot of talk in the past about, or recently saying that AI is going to replace our, going to take our jobs and stuff like that. In reality, that's been happening in cycles for years in terms of automation and IT and stuff like that. We just skill in other areas and we do other stuff and we exploit the technology we bring. So I completely agree with that. So just a few final questions, really. So what advice would you give to anyone that wants to be a business leader? Because it's not the right thing for everybody, but what advice would you give if someone has aspirations to be a managing director?
I would say that it's, you need to try everything in your career, really. Try as many paths as possible. So be the marketing, be the sales, be the customer service, and wherever you're the happiest, or if you think you're happy across all of them, then you can champion that. And for me, to be a leader in any organization, whether it doesn't matter how high up it is, it's having your aspirations and your team's aspirations in a line. So if you're a good communicator, and you aspire to actually lead with people, not manage, just lead, I think you would be able to move forward in any organization, and just take those chances, and the flip reverse. Any leaders that are in a position, take the chances on absolutely everybody, give those people those opportunity. Transferable skills are exactly that. They're transferable skills. And my first ever proper job helped me realize that somebody who can only do X in their head could actually be an amazing Y. So just take the opportunities, take the leaps, and if it doesn't work out, then there's a reason for that. The pain is there to actually support you into something even better. So I'm not sure if that's really advice, but I think it's just more believe in what you want to achieve, and just do it with people. I didn't get here on my own. I could never ever claim this as my journey. It is a journey that I did with others, and thank God for that.
No, that's good advice. Do you think anyone can be a leader?
I think anyone could be a leader. I don't think anybody wants to be. Not everybody wants to be a leader, and I think that's the thing. Because what you're leading, you could be. There's so many different attitudes and delivery styles and open diversity in thinking these days that I think actually, yes, everybody could be a leader because everybody leads in very different ways.
Yeah. Interesting. Everybody pauses for a few seconds before they answer that question. Everybody, which is funny. Okay. Is there any quote, analogy, advice snippet, anything you would give to anyone who wants to be a leader? Anything you live by? Any quote? I'm putting you on the spot, Amy. I'm sorry.
Did you know what? Everything happens for a reason. That's kind of always been a mantra of mine. And a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. If you don't start a journey, you're never going to know whether it's going to be for you or not. But I think, everything happens for a reason. Is definitely something that gets me through good and bad times, actually.
And thank you very much for your time, Amy. Thanks for joining the show. I really enjoyed the conversation. And let's keep in touch.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's good to actually go over the old ground, to be honest with you, to remind myself how blessed and grateful I am as to where I am.